Mark Zuckerberg left Harvard in his sophomore year to build something the classroom couldn't teach him. Steve Jobs dropped out of Reed College after 6 months. Kanye West dropped out of art school. Rihanna never finished high school. Now here's the question nobody asks. What do these people actually have in common? It's not talent. Plenty of people have talent. It's not luck either, because luck doesn't explain a pattern this consistent across this many decades in this many industries. What they have in common is this. At some point, every one of them stopped trusting a system that was never built to make them rich and started learning the one subject that system refuses to teach. Tonight, we're going to show you exactly what that subject is, why it's missing, who decided it should be missing, and what it's quietly costing you every single year you stay inside the system without it. This is the education trap. Here's what 13 years of American school actually optimizes you for. Attendance, obedience, test scores, following instructions written by someone else, on a schedule set by someone else, toward a diploma that someone else decided you needed. You memorize the water cycle. You memorize the Bill of Rights. You write essays nobody outside a classroom will ever read. And here's what you are never once required to learn: what a credit score actually measures, how compound interest works, for you or against you, what APR stands for, how to read your own paycheck, let alone a retirement statement. This isn't a guess. As of 2026, only 30 states in the entire country require a standalone personal finance course to graduate high school, according to the Council for Economic Education. That means most American students can legally finish school, cap, gown, diploma, the whole ceremony, without the system ever once being required to teach them how money works. You did everything that was asked of you, and the one subject that would shape nearly every decision for the rest of your life was optional, if it was offered at all. So who decided this was fine? Go back far enough, and the American school system wasn't built to create investors. It was built during the industrial era to produce something very specific: workers. Punctual, literate, obedient workers who could follow instructions on a factory floor or in an office and who wouldn't ask too many questions about who was profiting from their labor. That system worked exactly as designed for over a century. Show up, follow the rules, get a steady paycheck, retire on a pension the company funded for you. And to be clear, nobody sat in a room and planned to keep you in the dark. That's not what happened here. What happened is something slower and in some ways worse. The economy moved on and the curriculum simply never caught up. No one was ever assigned the job of fixing it, except that world is gone. Pensions are largely gone. Job for life is gone. Today you are personally responsible for your own retirement, your own investing, your own debt decisions in a financial system built by people who understand it far better than the schools ever taught you to. And the data shows exactly how wide that gap still is. According to the 2025 TIAA Institute GFLEC Personal Finance Index, the largest ongoing study of financial literacy in America, adults answered only 49% of basic personal finance questions correctly. That number hasn't meaningfully moved since the study began in 2017. 8 years, trillions of dollars in new debt created in that time. And the average adult still fails a basic test on how their own money works. That's not an accident of neglect. That's a system that was never redesigned once its original purpose stopped matching the world you actually live in. Here's where the trap stops being philosophical and starts showing up in your bank account. U.S. household debt hit a record $18.8 trillion in early 2026, according to the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Credit card balances alone have crossed $1.25 trillion, the highest number recorded since the New York Fed started tracking it in 1999. Americans paid $253 billion in credit card interest and fees in a single year at an average interest rate above 21%. Ask yourself honestly, were you ever taught in a classroom what that interest rate actually does to a balance you don't pay off? Researchers have a name for part of what's happening here. Nobel laureates Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky spent decades proving something called loss aversion. The finding that a loss hurts roughly twice as much as an equivalent gain feels good. It's a documented reason so many people avoid investing altogether, even when leaving money in a low-interest account is, mathematically, the riskier choice over time. Add present bias, the well-studied tendency to grab an immediate reward and discount a future cost almost completely. It's a major reason researchers point to chronic credit card debt. The purchase feels real today, the interest feels abstract, until it isn't. Nobody taught you these biases exist, so they operate on you anyway, quietly, by default, exactly the way they're designed to. And the TIAA Institute's own research draws the line explicitly. Adults with very low financial literacy are twice as likely to be debt-constrained and 3 times more likely to describe themselves as financially fragile compared to adults who actually understand this material. That's not a coincidence. That's the trap, measured in trillions. So what did Zuckerberg, Jobs, and every self-made investor since actually do differently? They stopped waiting for a system that was never built to teach them this, and they went and got the information themselves. And here's the part the data makes very clear. This gap is closable, fast, without a finance degree. Research published through the National Bureau of Economic Research found that a single required semester of personal finance education in high school is linked to measurably better adult credit scores and lower delinquency rates years later. One modest classroom requirement showing up provably in lifetime financial outcomes. Economist Richard Thaler proved the same principle at scale with a program called Save More Tomorrow, letting employees commit today to automatically increasing retirement contributions with every future raise. Peer-reviewed tracking found participants' savings rates roughly tripled compared to people left to figure it out on their own. The pattern researchers keep finding is the same one, over and over. Information plus a simple automatic system beats willpower every time. And simply being able to name a bias, present bias, loss aversion, measurably changes how people behave the next time it shows up. None of that requires dropping out of anything. It requires refusing to accept that the gap in your education is your personal failure when the data says it was designed into the system from the start. 30 states currently mandate this in schools. 20 states still don't. Whichever side of that line you happen to grow up on, the information exists now, free, more accessible than at any point in history. The only real question left is whether you keep waiting for a system that was never built to teach you this or start closing the gap yourself, starting today. Zuckerberg walked away from Harvard. Jobs walked away from Reed. Not because school itself was worthless, but because they refused to let a system built for a different era decide the ceiling on their financial future. You don't have to drop out of anything to make the same choice. You just have to stop assuming the classroom already gave you everything you needed. That's exactly the gap this channel exists to close, one real documented video at a time. Subscribe, and let's make sure you're never the one still standing inside the trap.